So I had this rather silly idea, which was that I might be able to record a Martian day, and it worked. So here's how it went down. So Mars, its day length is only slightly different to Earth's. So we're in Sky Safari here. If I go to the next day on Earth, so we're going one Earth day, you'll see that Mars only changes a little bit. And the reason for that is that difference in day length. So Mars just having that slightly longer day. Mars's day is 24 hours, 37 minutes and some number of seconds. When Earth's done one rotation and we're looking to the same place in the sky for Mars at the same time on Earth, Mars hasn't caught up with that, hasn't caught up yet. It's lagging behind slightly, so yeah, when you go to that next day, it just hasn't turned to show us the same place yet. And that was central to my idea, which was that I knew that I was going to have to contend with the UK weather. So I knew that there'd be spells of nights where I wouldn't be able to get any images of Mars. But what I thought was, as long as I kept track on the time that I had to catch back up to, that I could just stay up late and connect up the sequence to where it was. So yeah, let's say I got Mars here with Olympus Mons right in the centre. That was, imagine I managed to capture this at 10:40 on Wednesday, the 14th of October, and then there were some cloudy nights. Let's say it was cloudy until the following Monday. All I had to do is keep track of that. How many times are 37 minutes to add on to 10:30 to get the sequence to match it back up? So let's go to minutes here and get Mars to the same place, give or take. So I would have had to have stayed up over that time period. I would have to stay up till about 24 minutes past midnight to get it about the same. Because I was using relatively modest gear. I was using a 150 Maksutov, just a relatively small Maksutov telescope, and a Canon 550D, which has got this really handy crop mode. The quality isn't great, considering like the telescope is making a way nicer image than I can capture with the Canon. But in a way, that made this easier because it was more forgiving of the times not being perfect. I decided to capture every 20 minutes, and the reason I did that is that roughly that fits into the Martian day, because I mean there's 3 minutes there, less than 3 minutes that is kind of left over if you do it every 20 minutes because of the extra 37 minutes of the Martian day, but I thought that would be close enough that we could make it work. So yeah, just night after night I was taking images of Mars. I would take them, as I said, every 20 minutes for a given period of time, and if the weather was good I wouldn't have to image for very long on a night, and I was trying to centre it around 11 till 1 when Mars was highest to try and stand the best chance of getting a clear image, but sometimes I wasn't able to do that. But yeah, so here's the majority of images that I ended up with. So they are very varying quality, but they're okay. And what you can probably notice here is that when you put it together, you've got all these slices in time. Mars is rotating the correct way, prograde direction, and then it jumps back, and then it jumps back, and then it jumps. So when you assemble the sequence, which I did in Final Cut, Mars, let's have a look at. I had to start at the end and put each new night's data in front on the timeline of the old data to make it link up. But yeah, and it was pretty laborious lining the images up. I used PIPP to center all the images, but I hadn't kept the camera on the telescope every night, which meant that there were different angles of Mars, and there's no easy way for me to use any software to figure out to line up the angles, but I could center it. So I used pip to center it, got it into Final Cut, and then in Final Cut I would just almost like a stop motion animator or a cartoonist, I would just sort of go between the frames and then make the adjustments in the rotation, and sometimes it needed just a slight positional adjustment, but that's all it took really. And then it took over a month to get the full rotation, and you'll see there that some nights we've got some really poor quality frames. There's a particularly good, poor one, so if there was bad weather, sometimes I just had to take what I was given. But overall I would say it was a really fun project actually. It's just, I mean, it sounds pretty painful to have to get out there every clear night and just sit there and wait 20-minute intervals and just shoot Mars, and then the work to process all the images, because I took over 100 different images of Mars. That the reason I did that was I had quite a lot of safety shots, because sometimes it was sort of getting cloudy towards the end of a sequence, or I wasn't sometimes the seeing was terrible, or whatever it might have been. I wanted just to make sure that I had kind of a choice, so I could try and make the animation as good as possible. And so that took a lot of processing. So you see my previous video for my planetary processing using Cyril. So yeah, just chugged through over 100 images of Mars, got the best ones centered in pip, got them in Final Cut, tried to match the rotations up, and that was pretty much it. I learnt the value of getting out even when the weather is not great. I had some absolutely stunning nights that I would normally have written off, or normally have just been like, well, this isn't worth it. But actually there was one night in particular, so I had this image from that night where it was just short, sharp showers, really horrible stuff coming in, very cloudy. The forecast was even worse than the actual night, but I mean, we're getting towards the end of the sequence there, so if I'd have missed that night, I would have completely I wouldn't have had a sequence to work with, because the face of Mars that I needed to catch up to was just getting so far through the night, I was going to lose it to daylight if I didn't get it on this particular night. But it was stunning, like when it was clear in between the clouds and the showers, it was just so crisp and clear, and I saw meteors, and it was just an experience I wouldn't have had otherwise, and I'm really grateful for going through that. This is almost sounds cliche, but the fact that it was difficult made it worthwhile. I was very happy to get into the struggle of making this. But yeah, so I hope that was interesting or entertaining in some way. But yeah, see you next time. Bye.